Welcome back to the Predictable Revenue Podcast. I'm your host, Collin Stewart, and today I'm joined by Gemma Galdon-Clavell. She's the founder and CEO over at Eticas AI, and we're going to talk product market fit. Before we do, this episode's brought to you by our founder coaching program. Founders, let's be real, scaling a company is hard. There's so much to do and never enough time. But what if you had proven framework and people that have been there and done that before to kind of help you navigate the chaos? That's where our founder coaching program comes in. Whether you're trying to find your first customers or fine tune your go-to-market strategy, we'll help you build a business that scales, well, predictably. If you're ready to take the next step, shoot me an email, give us a call, send me a homing pigeon, and we'll find a way to connect. Welcome to the Predictable Revenue Podcast, where sales leaders teach you what's working for them so you can build it yourself. With that being said, Gemma, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I'm really looking forward to hearing the story. And so let's start with the idea. Where did the idea for Eticas come from?
So it's been a very long process. So like 15 years ago, I wrote a PhD on tech policy back when no one talked about this. Back then, I was working mainly for the security sector, which is where we were finding like more experimentation on data crawling and coming up with decisions based on the data that people were putting online. And I just realized back then that my perspective that combined social sciences and policy was actually really valuable for everyone that I worked with. And so there was a lot of demand for what I was doing. So I got a lot of money to help companies, public sector, and researchers as well understand how data works, what it does, and what should we bear in mind before we maximize the value of data. My initial thing actually was as a nonprofit. I founded a nonprofit that was working with impacted communities to reverse engineer the data systems that impacted them. And it was through that process of kind of looking at the actual impacts of AI that I realized that developers were missing really important information to make their products better and safer. And so I basically decided to dive deep into trust and safety in initially big data, now AI. We do trust and safety for our clients to help them understand what trust and safety means from a performance perspective.
Interesting. So this is not just a SOC 2 compliance type thing that you get after the fact. This is something that's kind of baked in and built in. Before we zoom in on the product itself, you mentioned something that there's something that developers miss in the early days when they're thinking about this. What is that?
Well, the first thing and most obvious thing that I found was that developers often have zero data on the impact of their systems, which is like, imagine you're an engineer building planes and you think that your planes are amazing. No one ever tells you whether your plane takes off or falls off the sky. You have no visibility. So, you've gone through all the checks, your plane in the lab works great. All your simulations are amazing, but no one ever tells you what happens in real life. And we keep having that with technology. All the tests are done at the model level, the model layer. And in AI, from model to actual impact on a process or a decision, there may be other instances, things happening, other technologies.
Interesting. Okay. And so what led you to this was your PhD, but I don't imagine you were sitting there 15 years ago being like, okay, transformers are going to be a thing and LLMs. And if you are smartest person on this call by a million miles, but walk me through the journey from 15 years ago, writing the paper, you started a nonprofit. How did you get to the beginning of, you know what, I feel like we should start this company that helps companies specifically with data that's going into LLMs?
Having a nonprofit and just realizing that developers were never going to get this right and that they needed specific help, and also seeking funding. So for me, it was like, how do I get into this space? Because I want to build tech. Like we need to be in the conversation. We need to be in the development room. We need to be part of those product teams and help them. And I felt that we were mature enough to do that. My team was already social technical. We had developers, engineers, data scientists. And so I started looking for funding, and I found funding in the VC space. And so I raised a seed round that allowed me to think about, okay, so all the things that we've learned as a nonprofit, developing technology, how do we turn that into a for-profit that can speak the same language as the development teams that we want to, and that's what we've been doing for the last, I think it's 18 months.
Wow. Talk to me about the process, because it seems like such a mental shift. So what changed from nonprofit to for-profit from a product and customer perspective?
So it's been really interesting because We changed a lot of things when we made the move. And we're kind of backtracking on some of those. So when we made the move, all our investors and everyone around us were like, you need to be technology first. It's about the product. Build an MVP and then sell it. And we did that. And then what we found is that because the market, the AI guardrails and trust and safety is not mature yet, our clients, and especially large clients that have really long sales pipelines, like it takes a lot of time for them to vet us as providers. So we realized that being product first may not be the best option. And we also saw that our clients want solutions, not products. So now we've kind of changed how we do things. In a way, gone back to some of the rationality that we had as a nonprofit, which is we give you a solution and we maximize technology on our end. So the software that we built for our clients initially, we are now using it internally. And so our clients interact with people that solve problems. And we use technology to make sure that we do that in ways that are really cheap and a lot cheaper than anyone else in our space. Also, that it's scalable and that we provide the same service to anyone that comes to us. So we're not a consultancy, even though you are interacting with a person that then maximizes our technology to provide you with the outputs that you need and with the data that you need. We're not trying to push our product into our clients. We're listening to our clients. What are your concerns around AI? What would make you comfortable with incorporating AI in your operation? And then we basically build a software case for them. And then once they're onboarded, it's very easy for us to continue to provide that service over time.
Right. And so when you raised, they said, okay, productize what you're doing as the service. You pivoted there, realized, hey, the space is still a bit early. So we need to kind of unwind that a little bit. And then maybe you will go back to the productized element as as everything evolves and kind of the cycles kind of speed up again. Is that fair?
I think it's not so much that we'll change our approach, is that we'll take our clients' hands and walk them through our product. And we feel that right now is what they need. It's hard for clients right now to add another stack of technology, another software solution. They need to really trust you to be able to do that. And then once they're set up, all we do is SaaS. Like everything in our backend is just software. But we need to kind of guide them to that space because again, it's a moving space. The whole world is moving towards more guarantees for trust and safety, but no one knows what that means. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. And what we've learned is that when you're approaching an immature market, that kind of combination of I'm going to take your hand, but I'm going to productize in the back end so that at some point you'll just be, connected to my API and that's it. But how can we build something that really works for you? And how can we build that trust? Again, these fields, medical, a lot of interest, HR.
So not necessarily the verticals, but I'm curious, like the story of like, did you have to change your customer acquisition? Did you go out and do any customer development research? Like from was it all Gemma just going and trying to find folks? Were folks coming to you already and you were servicing existing demand? Like, talk to me about that kind of journey there. How did you figure out?
So again, it's been a learning process. After raising funds, let's build a sales team. And we did that. And it didn't work. With an immature market, just cold emails didn't work. I mean, we did get some responses and even clients, but not at the level that we wanted. So we realized that, again, the trust building was really important. So we went back to founder-led sales, where I'm very much engaged in the process of not so much reaching out, but then building that trust in the initial conversations that we have with our clients. And now that is working well, now we are going back to, okay, let's build a sales team that can kind of on the back of our thought leadership build a sales funnel. But again, I would say with immature markets, the role of the funder is paramount. Also, this is not an easy space. Like there's no one gets out of university being an expert in social technical evaluation of systems. And so I think that having senior people in those initial sales calls and building that trust is really, really important. And then you can build, once that is prototyped, then you can build your sales funnels on top of that. And that's what we are doing right now.
Gotcha. So you started scaling up, you hired a sales team and it didn't work because, I mean, there is a certain level of maturity that you need as a company to be able to say, okay, here is the process. This is the core customer set. This is the core product set. These are the jobs to be done that we solve. And like, now we can train people and like, oh, by the way, none of these are going to change in the next week. And when you're so early, any of those four variables can change daily or hourly or on a call when you hear a customer go, oh, we want it to do this, but orange. And you're like, we can do orange. But if you're a salesperson, especially one fresh out of university, or not as experienced in your career, you don't have the decision-making ability to be like, yeah, we could definitely do orange. You're like, oh, maybe I'll talk to the CEO. And that's just a much lower bandwidth connection with the customer.
Yeah, totally. And my main kind of lesson from these couple of years of moving to the US and engaging in this new way of doing things is you need a really good management team. And the management team needs to be able to prototype everything. So like before you do anything, prototype, and talk to your customers. Like I think that the VCs had me convinced that I had to listen to them. VCs are just a means to an end. You need to be solving a real life problem. And so you're the best kind of source of guidance is the clients that you talk to. And I'm very privileged because I do public speaking all the time. I'm invited to lots of closed door events with lots of people from the industry, people from policy. So like we have like this kind of foresight into where things are going. And we can also talk to like big names in the industry. So now we are focusing on, so who are like the mid-sized companies that can help us scale, and this change that we need all the time, just like you said, like every week things change. You need a management team that follows you. Like you need your peloton of people that understand where this is going, that are kind of your mates in pushing this forward, whether they're co-founders, which I don't have. I'm a sole founder, but I have a really great management team that does that. So, and again, these are things that no one told me when I was starting to do this, and reading all the books and all the blogs and subscribing to all the Substacks, and you get so much conflicting guidance, and in the end you just have to learn it on your own. And it's taken me kind of 18 months to feel that we're at a space of, okay, I think that now we know the game, and now we can play hard, and now we can play to win.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so much of what you hear from VCs is great advice at the right time. Hire salespeople is amazing advice when you're ready to hire salespeople, but nobody adds that little asterisk. They just say hire salespeople. I think you're ready, hire salespeople. But you have to ask yourself, am I ready to hire? Am I ready to invest in this go-to-market channel? Am I ready to do X? And like great advice at the wrong time is bad advice. Yes. And that was something that I struggled with. I usually ask a slightly different version of this question, but I think given your journey, I want to ask it differently. I like to think of product market fit as, most people I think look at product market fit as binary. You either have it or you don't have it, which I don't subscribe to. I'm more of a fan of it exists on a spectrum. And you can have strong product market fit. Uber, when they launched Uber Eats and like, hey, everybody needed this, versus like, the 18th competitor that launched, an Uber Eats, but not Uber, like they didn't do very well. Right. And so they had same market, different timing, very weak product market fit. Uber had extremely strong Uber product market fit. And so as a startup, we're always on this journey of strengthening. And I think as you continue, and once you get to the point where you would traditionally say, I have product market fit, there's still so much to learn. And so I'm curious about how you're thinking about this. Would you say you have kind of weak product market fit and you're using the services to reinforce things? Do you have strong product market fit and the product is just not there yet? Like, I'm curious, how do you see yourself on that journey?
So what we've kind of gotten to the conclusion, we have very strong product market fit, but the market is reluctant to incorporate a solution that they don't know if they need yet. So that's not a case that we knew existed. Like, again, it was either you have it or you don't. It's like, can you have really good product market fit, but can your clients be reluctant? And so because we've identified this reluctance, like a lot of people come to us, but then the conversion is low, but not because they're like, oh, we don't like what you're offering, we don't trust you. It's more like, should I really do this? Like, what am I going to gain from this? And so we are working on the market awareness. Like, we have to do a lot of work in building awareness in the market, which is not something that you have to do for everything. Like, some products are very, like, it's obvious, like Uber Eats. Yes. But, compliance that turns into performance that really helps you improve the accuracy and the results and minimize error rates in your systems. But when a lot of people are telling you, you actually don't need this, until you see it in action, you don't really realize the value of it. Like, is there a need? Yes. The amount of people that come to us saying, I'm concerned about this. The amount of companies that are not maximizing AI because they're concerned about liability. We have seen and measured and identified that is currently massively stopping the adoption of AI. So there's a need to build that peace of mind in AI adopters and AI developers. So what we're seeing now is a lot of solutions like what you were mentioning, SOC 1 and SOC 2, that are just looking for, okay, what's like the minimum compliance that you need to do? And just, we're going to help you tick the box. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that your system gets better through interacting with our software. And that's the hard part, like the rubber stamping. That's why I want to move away from compliance. We don't want you to comply unless you can guarantee your customers that your product is safe. And that means right now, some interaction, some tweaking, some customization of what we are doing. It's part of the process. What can happen with our product market fit is that we don't become the go-to company for this. So we may have the product market fit and really great products, but it's also about marketing and how do people recognize your name, wanna work with you. So for us, the main challenge is the visibility of what we are doing. How do you get out there? How do you position yourself? So it's like we need to also understand, what are your challenges? Because our challenges right now are not at the product part. Like, it's not developing the technology is easy. Having our senior teams building solutions for our clients, that we've mastered that. But now, how do we position that as the solution that will help you maximize AI? That's another story.
Interesting. And so I'm curious, what comes next for you?
So continue to be in this path, investing a lot more in marketing and strengthening our marketing team and telling the world the amazing work that we are doing and the amazing results that we are getting for our clients in terms of the accuracy of their models, the opening of markets where their clients may be reluctant about safety or liability issues. I think that we need to be a lot better at that. And again, as a founder who focuses on doing things well, that doesn't come naturally to me. I'm not a marketing person. I'm a problem solver. And so I focus on that. And we have so many amazing use cases and client stories that we have not been able to put out there. Also, because again, we've had sales teams that didn't understand the ins and outs of what we are doing. And so now we're getting more of the management team to do this work. So right now it's more about showing what we can do and how we can help our customers than focusing on product. I think that product, we have amazing data scientists, amazing developers. We can productize anything in 48 hours. Now it's more, how can we tell the world that we can do these really amazing work for them at really incredible prices?
Amazing. Gemma, if people want to learn more about Eticas or get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Eticas AI, that's our website. My personal email is Gemma@Eticas AI, very easy to remember. And I'd be more than happy to get emails or requests or any kind of proposal for collaboration. I'm a big believer in collaboration. I think that when markets are immature, it's hard for one actor to change things. So even though we compete, we also need to work together to build that space in the market, to build the demand. So we're very much invested in this. We are very generous with people around us. We collaborate with all kinds of organizations, from policymakers to universities. We founded the International Association of Algorithmic Auditors, which is the first trade association for people like us that are into AI evaluations. And again, we feel that if the tide rises, we all rise. And so we are very much invested in making sure that we are ahead of the curve, making sure that we are the ones that ride the wave. But building the wave requires a shared joint effort. So if anyone's in the space of AI evals, I'd be more than happy to hear from them.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Sure. Thank you for doing it.
Absolutely. And thanks to everybody for listening. We'll catch y'all next time. That was great.
Yeah.